Okay. Hi guys. Sorry for this. Very impromptu. I've been getting increasing numbers of emails from people trying to exercise their one question on the nice list, and it all comes back to a concept that I had hoped to teach, but clearly I failed. I failed you guys, and I apologize for that. 2 years and all these conversations later, I still have not taught clearly any of my runners from my previous employer about the relationship between distance, time, and effort. And I'm sorry, I really am. That had been the goal of all the work that we did, to try to present that visually and explain it both in webinars and podcasts and blog posts and clearly it hasn't sunk in. So I wanted to go ahead and put this out there, a very quick, very dirty visual representation of what I'm trying to get at when I have you do the EAT. Now bear in mind, the EAT is not, it's not commonly used, right? Most coaches trust you that you know how to race. I don't. In my experience, most of the clients that gravitate towards me do not really grasp the nuances between the relationship between distance, effort, and time, much less the distance between training effort and racing effort. So there's a lot that I tried to cram into that first cycle together. I'm going to break it down a little bit right here. If you've made it, so the questions that I've been getting have been along this, have been in this vein. Coach MK, here's my race strategy. Here is the math. I don't know what to do. Those paces look really fast. And I'm like, how many times do I have to say it? I don't give targets, I give caps. So here's what I want. Here is what the takeaway should always be when we're talking. So this is going to be time. Okay. And this is going to be, wait, give me a minute. So let's just start with time. So hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4. Let's talk about a half marathon. Now, separately, let's say you did the EAT for me, and I need a different color. What colors? All right. So let's say you did an EAT for me, and your A pace was B pace, C pace. So your C pace was 11-minute miles, your B pace was 10-minute miles, and your A pace was 9.5-minute miles. Okay? These are your EAT results. Okay. So I don't have my sheet in front of me. So don't go crazy checking my math and throw it out, because it's not about the math. Guys, I'm done selling you on my math skills. I'm a former investment banker. I was a trader on Wall Street. I've worked in 7 countries. People paid me to do math. They paid me a lot of money to do math. I went to grad school. I have 2 Ivy League degrees. Very expensive. There they are on the wall, above the diaper changing table, where they freaking belong in my life these days. I do math. If you want to have a math throwdown, put some money on the table. We'll come do it. But if you're trying to do a math throwdown here, you're missing the point. I promise, okay? Because this is such basic math. It's about relationships, right? It's not about spitting out the exact number. It's about kind of getting a good idea of what a bad idea is. And if you have a good idea of a bad idea, you can navigate any situation. So here, again, EAT, your C pace, and who remembers what your C pace is? Say hi if you're there. Your C pace, 10K, roughly. It's a very good proxy for 10K pace. This is a number and an effort level most people, most humans, are really good at figuring out. Again, here's what I mean. Let's say I hand you this thing of baby powder, And if I were to come close to you and put this in your hand and say, can you hold this? You're going to say, yes. Then I'm going to say, is it heavy? You're probably going to say no, because the whole thing weighs, this is brand new, so let's just go with it. It weighs 15 ounces, maybe 16. All right? But the question you should be asking is not, is this heavy? It's how long do I have to hold it? Okay. It's not heavy for a minute. It doesn't feel heavy yet, but 3 hours from now, if I was still in the same position, it's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel like a weight. It's probably going to feel like it weighs 20 pounds. I'm going to have to strain my neck to hold it up. And that is the point. It's not about this pace is easy and it's so easy and I'm so fit. It's about what is that pace going to feel like and what kind of effort will be required to generate it 3 hours from now, 4 hours from now, 12 hours from now. That is distance running, okay? And that is the nuance in distance running. Just about anyone I've ever met can find and nail a 10K. Anything faster than 10K effort, harder than 10K effort, they won't go hard enough because it hurts and it sucks. Anything slower, they overshoot because they really want this. If I'm fit enough, I can hold on to this number for 4 hours, and it's not true. That tempo, there's something about it. The tempo pace, the lactate threshold, the 10K pace, it's all kind of proxy, roughly the same numbers. All of that is, there's some studies that are being conducted at Furman right now about like why that is. But we have a pretty it's all going back to the dinosaurs, right? You don't have to, if you've been running for an hour, you've probably outrun that dinosaur, or you're probably alive. So maybe it's caveman shit, maybe it isn't. I don't really care. All I know is that anything harder and faster than that, you don't have a good idea of what it is or how long you can hold on to it. You can't feel it. Anything slower than that, and you're resisting the urge to speed up for a very long time. And so it's a continual battle in your brain. This is fine, but you can't hold it for more than an hour. Okay? So we start there. So this is your 10K pace, and that is my rant. Sorry, that's my bad. This is your 5K pace. This is a pretty good proxy for 5K pace. This is a pretty good proxy for 10K pace. And this is, you can use it, I just tell y'all to use it as a proxy for a half marathon pace. The way I think about this C pace is that it takes 5 or 6 tries doing the EAT to nail it, because usually people overshoot and then have to slow down. And it takes a while to find that good starting pace, and that's okay. That is okay. That is normal. I'm there right now, and I've been doing this for 30 years, but my body has changed a lot in the past 6 months. I go out for a run, I think I'm fine. I look down and see a heart rate of 155, and I'm like, shit. I look down and see a pace of 938. I'm like, shit, I'm not fit enough to go that fast yet. I shouldn't be going that fast yet. Okay? It takes time to feel these things, and they will stay fuzzy because the whole point of training is to change your body. So while we're doing this thing together that changes your body, it is no surprise that these numbers change and what they feel like in your brain changes. So what we do need to grasp is that relationship between distance, effort, and time. Okay? So I'm going to make all of this up. If you guys go back and are busy like looking for the piece of paper so you can math me and worry more, again, I swear to God, you're missing the point. Nervous about race day. Don't worry. You don't need an EAT. You really don't. I do this, honestly, in the beginning, the reason I did the EAT, when we rolled this program out, we had 2 kinds of plans. Plans that had race pace miles and plans that didn't. And it unnerved me when I looked one day and realized how many people chose the plans with race pace miles. I needed a way to force that conversation to be like, hey, that race pace you chose is diluted. All due respect. If your A pace is 9.5, you are not going to be running a 3:30 marathon this cycle. I believe you can get there. I would love to get you there, but you're making a big bet if you think you're going to run 1.5 minutes faster than the balls out effort in a 20-minute test run on what is going to eventually be a 3.5-hour event on race day. I needed that backstop. And that is why we went with the EAT instead of a Cooper test, which would be a whole lot easier to administer, or a Balat test. Again, shorter, way easier to administer. But I wanted to have that conversation of, hey, guess what? This also, because this middle number was so much faster than what most people we're using for 10K pace, they could walk away feeling rewarded for their hard work. Maybe even after the disappointing conversation. You might not going to run 8:30s, but hey, guess what? You can now use 10 as your B pace, as your 10K pace. Yay, you! And that somehow softened the blow. So I don't need you to do an EAT. It's an introduction to a conversation about that relationship between pace, time, and effort. And that I don't see well articulated anywhere, but these are lessons that I was lucky enough to learn really, really well with awesome coaches a long time ago. And I'm going to try to do my best with you guys. But it's not going to be what you guys want, where I give you one magic pace to rule them all, and you ride that pace to the finish. It never works that way, ever. Ever. Do you think Stephanie Bruce's manager or coach is doing math to be like, okay, we think you're going to run 5:28 today, but like if you do real well, we could get a 5:27. It's not that level of exactness. She knows what her marathon effort is. She knows what her 10K effort is. She knows her body better than anybody else ever would. And it's not about math, right? It's about training and stronger and getting more out of that same body over time without breaking it down. It's not about the math that's done. But I digress. I get it. And I get it. And I tried to be very, very patient and calm about this when I was at my previous job, because I would rather talk about math than my body most of the time. I get it. But that makes it really hard to have a realistic conversation about race day. So here's where I want to go with that. So let's say we're going to put heart rate over here. And remember, what is heart rate? It's a proxy for effort. It's not a perfect proxy for effort, but it's a darn good one. It's the best we've got other than reading that situation. Because remember, that thing that feels easy in hour 1 that feels hard in hour 3? Okay, that's not going to be the same effort. It might be the same pace, but it's going to take more effort because you've been doing it longer. Just like this isn't heavy in minute 1, but it's going to feel really heavy in hour 3 of holding it, okay? So let's say for heart rates here, we go now. When I ran the Philadelphia Marathon in 2016, I was not shooting for a singular pace. I had an idea of what I wanted to hit that day, but I wasn't strung out about the pace on my watch. I was minding a very consistent effort. And that effort translated into an even pace the whole way. But that was such a fluke and such a freak accident that like my friends and my coach and I still talk and laugh about it. Every time I got an update, it was the same pace number. It never happens. I'm like, yeah, I know, it was weird. Okay, so let's say in hour 1, I don't want, because this is how you should read the EAT blueprint, the race blueprint, but no one ever does. So let's say we do the mathy math, and what comes out is that we're doing a half marathon, and let's say in the first half hour, you don't really need to be above 145. So there's your data point 1. At the end of the first hour, really it's like 150. Halfway through the second hour, we don't want to be exceeding 155. And the person here is probably in this particular instance is probably looking at again making it up, like a 2:45 half. All right. So we expect to be finished before we get over here. Okay, so at 1:30 we're going to be here. Now we get to the 2-hour mark, we can start working a little bit more aggressively. Two and a half. If the weather's good, you're going to be scratching for it, and then you got permission to go all the way to the finish, all right? So if you do the mathy math, you come out with points that look like that. Effort over time. I like to take pace out of it, or the only reason that that I have you calculate paces is so that we know how much time we're talking about. This gives me an idea if we're talking about a 90-minute half or a 4.5-minute half. That's it. I've told you guys quite clearly on that page to discard those numbers. All we need to know is what kind of a half are we talking about, and the difference between a 2:15 and a 2:45 half in execution. It's minimal. It's a couple of good choices. That's it. It's not like you need a whole new, like your demand for perfection, for exactness in a situation with as many variables as you're going to have to manage when you get out there. I love you, but it's a name. It's too much. You've got to relax a little bit, because I swear to God, if this is what you're spitting out about, you are looking at it incorrectly. Change your perspective. You're the sit guy sign, right? Even when you're not lit, you're luminous. You're a sane, rational person, and the worry that you're putting in this situation is unwarranted, okay? So, let's say we're going to connect all these dots. What you guys do is you connect those dots and you see your race plan. And that is not what I want you to see. That is not ever what I wanted you to see. What I wanted you to see is a big shaded area up here. Don't go there. This is the red zone. This line, it's protecting you. It's the point of no return. Faster than this, and you're probably not making good choices. If your heart rate is 180 in hour 1, guess what? At the end of hour 1, if your heart rate's at 180, you're probably fucked. Sorry. If your heart rate is 180 at the end of hour 2 and you're looking at a 2:45 half, you're probably fucked. You're probably going to have to walk. Okay? Same in a marathon. If you are expecting, this would be very different in a marathon. I could do several of these on a sheet. So don't throw this away or turn out or jump out because you're like, well, I'm doing a full, so what she's saying doesn't apply to me. It's the same logic. It's the exact same logic. Just go draw this out, plot the points, shade this area. If I am 90 minutes in and my heart rate is at 165, I might want to back off a little bit, because if I'm fucked here, I'm going to be double fucked in hour 3. If I'm already in trouble, if I'm already in the red zone midway through hour 1 and I think I've got 2.5 hours to go, I got to back off. That is what you need to see. I can't tell you what to do. No, there's nothing, because that worrying about pace never works out. I'm off. I need to pick up time. It doesn't work that way. Those are always bad cues and bad choices. But if you know where the red zone is and can stay out of it, then you can work a little harder and a little harder over time. And for a super fit person that has done all the training and has read all of the materials and has been training consistently for a year before coming into a distance event, like every single coach on the planet encourages you to do, then you'll find what this turns into over time is a very, very consistent pace. Okay. But until you've reached that, it doesn't mean you're fat. It doesn't mean you're unfit. It just means any human who wants to, and I firmly believe this, most coaches do, any human who really wanted to, who loved the sport and was so inclined, could reach elite level fitness. Olympic level fitness, that's a different gear, right? So, I mean, that's the best of the best. But when it comes to any human that wants to break 2 hours and a half, if you want it and you work consistently toward it, that can happen. If you want to be in the elite corral, it can happen. I don't care when you start. What I care about is doing all the work. And for something like this, you have to do every single bit of the work, right? So when I think about fit versus unfit, it's like you're as fit as you could possibly be, or we got more we can do with the fundamentals, okay? And that's just sleeping better, eating right, doing all the runs, taking the strength seriously, doing all the drills. Like, you don't have to make yourself miserable. But if you're not willing to make yourself miserable in training, then you shouldn't make yourself miserable on race day. You really shouldn't. All you got to do is hear my voice in the back of your head saying, that is not a good idea, and stay out of that zone. My family's here. We just found out we have influenza A and B, so it's going to be a very long day. I blew dried my hair for our anniversary. Yay! You want to say hi, Shiloh? You want to say hi, RJ?
Hi.
Here she is.
Hi.
So that's all I had to say. It was never supposed to be about math or showing off math. It was supposed to be a conversation over 20 weeks where we discussed the relationship between three variables: pace, implicitly pace.
I'm bigger than you.
What, baby?
I'm bigger than you.
You are bigger than me. Big girl, the ballerina shirt.
I'm not going to school today.
I know. We want you to need help.
Yeah.
And Daddy's here.
I know.
So yeah, all I ever really wanted to do was teach you to start thinking about that relationship between distance, time, and effort. The longer the event, the longer it's going to take you to finish, and the more we have to scale back your effort or monitor your effort. When you guys think about pace and with no regard to effort, you could be in that red zone from the first mile, and then you're not going to be able to hold on to it over time, right? You're not going to be able to go the distance. So this whole conversation about heart rate, in my opinion, is very much what's missing in the running world today. People don't want to think about it. They don't want something to hold them back. They don't want a cap. They want a target to reach a really aggressive one. And I'm like, okay. No, you don't, except you'll never hit it. Anytime I've given people like 5K pace, they like moan about it and then never hit that pace in a 5K because it hurts too much, even though they're perfectly capable of it. That's how much of a mental game those shorter distances are. So I'm going to stop there. That's what I wanted to say. If I had time, I would have totally redone. I would not have gotten rid of the EAT. I stand by it. But clearly I was failing to communicate this relationship to you guys, and I was getting ready to add in a few more visual aids to help guide this conversation better. But, then kids in life and whatnot. So half is the limit of 3:15. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, honestly, Kim, it is what it is. You can't think about pace with them thinking about pace. You've got to think about not making your IT band issue worse. No one is going to take this away from you, but you can piss in your own Cheerios, so don't do it. You are out there doing this despite an obstacle that would have kept most people home. So fuck them if they're rude, and fuck them if they try to pull you off that course. Guess what? They can't. If they put their hands on you, that's illegal. I don't care where you're running. So you go out there and you get what you want. You just go Southern Brazilla on it. It's my day, and you go have a great day and preserve your IT bands, and don't worry about it. Better if you're doing it in the pouring rain. Live stream it, Facebook Live it, and we will cheer you on while you do it. But F those guys and F that pace target. How dare they do that to you? Don't they know who you are and what you've been through? Make them care. Reading all the comments. Awesome. Okay. Good. Yeah, and it's not about the accurateness of any given test. Again, it's just a framework for this discussion. And we could have done that with the Cooper test. We could have done it with the Balot test. We could have done it with any number of things. But this one, the reason I chose the EAT was that it allowed me to include a conversation about pace for the people that were on race pace plans to be like, hey, guess what? That race pace isn't going to happen. Let's dial it back to keep you from getting injured or overtrained before you get to the start line. So that's it. Free information, take it or leave it, but you're coached, you're loved, you're winning at life, and all you got to do is stay out of that red zone. Because if you're in the earlier you're in the red zone, the more fucked you are. And you don't need to be at all, because you got a coach that loves you and has explained all of this multiple times. And I apologize I didn't find a really good way to hammer it in, but we were a little bit busy. So hopefully this helps.